Good evening and welcome to Open Your Mind Radio. You have myself, Alan James.
And you have myself, Stephen George. Good evening.
Good evening. It's Sunday the 4th of October 2015. And last week we mentioned the 2.3 billion people, the rise to 5D consciousness on Monday. I didn't feel anything.
Did you not get the upgrade?
No.
I did.
No.
Yeah.
The upgrade didn't work. It rejected me.
Yeah. I think there's a little window. Actually, if you look at Alan now, there's one of those little Windows symbols spinning around his head like he's thinking about it.
No, I don't think it happened. If there is one or two people that actually got some kind of upgrade, alright, because we got a couple of emails in, or what seemed like an upgrade, so fair play to them. They're the chosen few. All of us, we're just going to have to wait, I think, for the next few months anyway. So, back to business as usual. We're over September, we're over the Samhita and the blood red moon and everything else and the asteroids and the whole lot. We're all over it and we're back to normal. But there is a postal strike on, so that's good news as well. Anyway,
yeah.
before we move on, we did, say that we didn't mention who the guest is going to be on the show tonight, and there was a reason for that, and we're going to talk about it later. But the guest that's going to be on the show tonight is a lady called Pattie Brassard, who's a NASA whistleblower, and Pattie has been turning out brilliant information and exposing loads of information. And the reason why we didn't want to announce Pattie is because there's been a couple of occasions where Pattie has done interviews and it's been announced and certain things have happened. So we wanted to kind of keep it very low key until Pattie was actually ready to go and on the show for tonight. And Pattie's in our green room at the moment, and we'll be bringing on Pattie in a few minutes' time. But before we do that, we have a couple of announcements, and Steve's going to tell us what the communication channels are.
Yes, the communication channels this evening is, or should I say, are...
The communication channels are email info@oymireland.com, by phone 046 927 1212, and you can also contact us direct through the OYM chat room.
Yes, 046 927 1212 is the number for the studio. If you're going to ring in from outside Republic of Ireland, it is 00353 469 271212. We also have on the website there, the website is oymradio.com. We have the link there for Facebook, the anti-social media. And you can check us out there as well, see what we're up to and what we're doing, and see what people are saying and posting on our page. Loads of great information popping up on the Facebook. Of course, it was down during the week, but more about that later. We also have TuneIn Radio link. The website there is tuneinradio.com. The link is on the bottom of the website there. You can also just, if you're on the Android device, you can just download the link from the Android store, the Google store, I believe it's called, or the Play Store, I'm not sure. And you can get that on your phone. You will find us. We are on that as well. And what else we got? We have the YouTube channel. A lot of our interviews and podcasts are up there on the YouTube channel, so you can check that out as well. What else? We have the chat room as well on our own website, which we're going to be monitoring this evening for the questions. And we're also going to monitor the chat room on People's Internet Radio as well. So a big hi to everyone logged into both, both of those chat rooms. And on our own chat room, there's if you want to log in, just you don't even have to have an account. Just make up a name and log yourself in there. You will see a nice friendly bunch of people in there. That's where you can mingle and have a chat and pose questions for a guest this evening. Alan.
Here's Steve. Now, Pattie is in the chat room. As you can tell, Pattie is logged in. So if you do have any questions, you can ask Pattie on the chat room as well. And we'll try and put them over to Pattie, talk to Pattie about them as well. Some questions we might be able to get to, but Pattie might be able to type in as well while we're talking to her. That'd be brilliant. Now, before we're going to do Alan's and Steve's week at the end of the show, a couple of things to talk about, because we want to maximise the time we have on with Pattie. But there's a couple of things that we want to mention. Now, I don't know about you guys. If you're a Facebook user, you probably have been finding Facebook either crashing or being very, very slow. I don't know why that is. There's a lot of people reporting a lot of strange things going on with Facebook. Posts not going up, people not seeing posts being removed, crashing, the system going down, the chat being disconnected. So I don't really know what's going on with Facebook, and we know a lot of us use Facebook to communicate and pass the information around to each other. And I don't know whether Facebook are playing silly buggers with the software, but you know, plan B would be to head over to unseen.is if Facebook does go offline. because Unseen is the other website in Iceland which people can also use. It's for social media, so just to keep that in mind.
I believe we are on Unseen already, are we not?
We are. We haven't logged in for a while, but
no, we haven't.
But we are there, so we do have an account.
Yeah, there was actually another kind of social media that popped up as well. It was fairly popular, and I can't remember the name of it, unfortunately, but I believe it was in Russia. It was kind of like the Unseen. It was another variation. I suppose they're all just variations of Facebook anyway. And truth be told, as much as you're told that, this is kind of, it's not monitored and it's free and it's secure, well, we don't really know. I mean, they could be all monitored by the same people, You could have the governments of the world thinking, okay, we're not getting people on Facebook because they've cottoned on to who we are, so we'll set up something else like xyz.com or whatever and get people to log in there. But again, like, as Alan always says, and we always say here, use your own discernment, but if Facebook does go down, or they're going to start charging people for it, then maybe one of the other alternatives could be the way to go. What am I going to tell you? I'm going to say to you that the lady on Facebook, speaking of Facebook, her son was fined €350 for not having a TV license 2 weeks ago because he didn't go to court. Seemingly, it wasn't his house, it was mine, says the lady. He was just coming to the door and some guy asked him, did he live there? He didn't know him from a hole in the head, so he asked his name. And when my stupid son, this is her words, not mine, when my stupid son told him, gave him his name and said he did live there, he then said he was from TV license and you're going to court. So, you can't make that up. But yeah, I suppose if you're on the system, as I said to a chap during the week, if you're already on the system and you don't have it, you let your TV license lapse, well, you want to, maybe check out what the alternative to having a license is and have that already in place, or at least be prepared for people coming knocking at your door asking silly questions about your TV habits. Because, you will get caught out and you may end up with a nasty fine, just like that lady there, well, her son, €350. So, if you're already in the system, you may as well abide by the rules. But if you want to walk away from the system, make sure you have your homework done first. Unfortunately, that lady got cut out. Well, her son got cut out. Maybe he should have had his homework done, and we realised that he didn't have to give his name to anybody, and he could have asked him to, remove themselves from his premises. But that's the story.
Remember, if somebody comes to your door and asks you, and if they have your name already, then you're on a system, and more than likely it's probably government, or it could be a private company. But at the end of the day, they're on your property. So if they ask your name, say, who's asking, who wants to know, or am I legally obliged to give you my details, or am I legally obliged to speak with you? And if they say yes and say, well, document and verify that I have to show me, basically, that I have to speak to you, document and verify. We're too keen to, especially when you answer the phone and somebody calls out your name, are you such and such, and automatically a lot of people go yes. And I used to do that until I had various people training me not to. And so when people ring me now and they go, are you such and such, I'll go, who's calling? I never say, yes I am, because I don't know who they are.
I can document and verify that too. Even when I ring him, he asks, who are you? Who are you? What do you want?
Yeah, say, no, say, Steve, this is Skype. It's okay, it's me. Anyway, okay, so we're going to bring our guest in because we've so much information to go through that we want to get as much information as we can with Pattie. Now, Pattie is a NASA whistleblower, and the level of information that she deals with, it's a phenomenal level. I mean, it's just incredible information, but we don't want to go up there yet. We want to start off with kind of the basics and then build up to it. So before we do that, we'll bring Pattie in. Good evening, Pattie. How are you?
Good, and you?
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks a lot for coming on the show. We had to do a bit of cloak and dagger, as you know, regarding not making an announcement about you coming on the show, because in the past, as you've said to us, you've had certain experiences with going on shows and things happening.
Yeah, they've actually crashed shows entirely. When I was doing stuff with Steve on his radio show, they actually took the audio files and edited them.
Right, that's just madness. So this is why we wanted to kind of keep it quiet until we actually had you on the show. So the only people really knew was yourself, myself, Steve, And then later on, you obviously told a few people in your closed group that you were going to be on.
Yeah.
Which is, and that's it. And that's the reason why we wanted to do it, because we knew that you've been attacked a few times on other radio shows, and we didn't want it to happen tonight, and we don't want it to happen tonight. So that's why we kind of kept it quiet. Now, Pattie, for people who don't know who you are, now I'm sure there's very few people who don't know you, because you've exposed so much. And you've covered so much information. Yeah, because I don't hide who
I am.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just out there in their face.
Exactly. But can you just give us a bio, just a quick bio of your background, and the fact you the NASA background, and why you came out being a whistleblower?
Okay, 7 years in the Army. Initially, I was missile systems, and then I switched to communications. I did Grenada, Lebanon, and Desert Shield. When I got out of the military, I was computer contractor, and I did 2 years contract work with NASA. I built their computer lab. While I was there, I made a trip upstairs for a military satellite repair. So I've been up in orbit once. I was very sick when I came back, but it's great being up there.
Okay.
After that, I went to work for Bell, from there to Lockheed Martin, from there to Polaris, and then after that to Grumman. So Agent 69, yeah, I've been around.
Right, okay. And you decided to come out and whistleblow and talk about what's going on. What made you do that?
I basically started that right after I left NASA. It took them a while to catch up to who I was. Because everybody makes a big deal over the fact that I was born intergendered, and I eventually, especially after all the injuries in the military, a lot of my female stuff started growing back all on its own, and I got my ID changed. I also, coincidentally, did it in such a way as to get out of the whole corporate system. I am no longer a corporate employee, dead person.
Right, okay.
I took back my tribe and my heritage. I'm a savage.
So you're out of the commercial system at the moment?
Yes.
Right, and so basically you don't have a body corporate, you don't have a straw man, you are a human being, flesh and blood.
Correct.
Right, okay. And how have you managed to live outside the system?
It isn't easy. Basically, all the times I was doing contract work, I was doing 1099, and I just kept all the money.
Right. Okay. Well, that's understandable. I mean,
and when the federal government got in touch with me come tax time, I told them to go screw themselves.
Okay. Well, we've the same thing. Obviously,
we had an understanding. I'm not a corporate dead person.
Yeah.
I don't fit under your rules anymore. Leave me alone.
Because we've seen Freedom to Fascism by Aaron Russo, and over here it's the same thing. We've asked our tax office, our Inland Revenue, to show us the law that says you have to pay tax on your labour, and nobody can show us the law. They can't show it.
Yeah, there isn't one here either.
Yeah, that's right. And it seems to be common. Maybe it's in countries that have the common law, that they don't have the rule to say that you have to pay tax on your labour. I mean, if you look back in the Irish history, you can see where it was always voluntary, because as after the War of Independence that it came in as a voluntary thing to help rebuild the country. And they left it in, and then in the 50s, or maybe there was the 60s, they brought in PRSI, which is a way of taking tax out of your salary, even though it was still voluntary. Now, if I'm incorrect, and there is a law that says you have to pay tax on your labour, I'd like somebody in the tax office or somebody out there to show me the law that you have to pay tax on your labour. And in the States, it's the same thing. So, it's good that you've. And do you get chased by the likes of the tax office or certain corporate entities looking for money and looking for them? Are they looking for you to contract with them?
No. Actually, they're still trying to get me to do work for them.
Okay. Well, if cash in hand, I suppose it would be.
Most of the places now, though, now that they've caught up with my ID changeover, when I go to if I was to go and try and do something like that, my security clearance is busted.
Right. Okay.
I can't collect unemployment. I can't get free health care. I can't get any of that. Even the VA, being that I'm a service-connected disabled vet, service-connected priorities, they've cut me off as well.
Okay. Well, you've moved out of the system, so tell
Yeah.
us. In the last few weeks, we've heard an awful lot of things that are going on. Even scaremongering with, we're going to talk about Comet Ison as well, and stuff like that. But we've heard an awful lot over the last few weeks about the Smeta and the asteroids hitting the planet and Planet X coming in and all that kind of stuff. And of course, we always sit on the fence with this.
I went out on a limb.
Yeah.
Back in 2013. And it's not without grounds. Did the massive quake hit? Yes. Did it hit California? No. And there's a reason for that. Every dumb turned on an anti-gravity device, and the gray solid 50 ray aliens put those humming gray boxes out. It avoided every dumb. We had quakes 8.5 and above around the entire globe. But basically what they ended up doing is shoving the worst of it down to the other side of the Pacific plate. And we all know what happened down there. They got slammed instead of California.
Right. Just say that again?
The opposite end of the plate, down in Christchurch.
Down in New Zealand, yeah.
Plus there was 8.5s around the entire globe, and a sine wave pattern that avoided every single one of their dumbs around the globe.
Right, and this was because of, why did this happen?
They turned on anti-gravity devices, and the little solid 50 ray grays, those humming gray boxes, they did them in England, and they did them on the west coast of the United States. They stopped quakes and tsunamis.
Okay.
That's what those humming gray boxes on the beaches do.
Okay, so let's just...
There's a problem with this, though.
Okay.
Because look what it did to the moon's orbit.
Well, let's just rewind a bit. There's a lot of people who don't understand or don't know about these boxes that were found on beaches around the world, and you couldn't lift them, you couldn't move them or anything else, but they were to do...
The military went out there with 5-ton trucks with chains and tried to move them. They wouldn't budge.
Exactly, they wouldn't. And these boxes were found all around, and it's got to do with either stabilizing the planet because of what they were trying to do.
Yeah. Well, that was the reason why I called that date was actually a planetary triangle alignment that was going to set it off. Now, there's a ton of lava, and this issue is still outstanding under the whole end of California, all the way into the Midwest. And that, I now know why that is. That's Gaia's little trick, and that's why she had them put the second sun out, heat up the Earth for a while. She's going to use that. She's already started using all that lava to fill the dumbs.
Okay, I think we're going to need to rewind here, Pattie, because that's going to be further down the line. Let's start off with these predictions got to do with the scaremongering that NASA might do regarding certain things that are going to... I mean, we heard about this asteroid. Now, I know NASA said, there's no asteroids, but there's a lot of scaremongering out there, and they're saying there's a lot of changes taking place.
Yeah, I've been telling everybody for the past... since 2012. When the council put down the order, they're not going to let anything hit the Earth. That's it. Period.
Right. And who are the council?
The Council of 12 are the 12 races who provided the starseed to Gaia to fill out the male side of the build of the human race. Right.
Okay. And so we are seeded rather than the whole kind of...
And Gaia used the bones of the... You got to understand, this Earth was not originally here. Eden was here.
Okay.
Eden's a planet, not a place.
Okay.
This world was brought from the core system through the Sun Gate, and Eve gave it to Gaia to build her own race. The race that Eve created was the Elven. She built them here first, and that's when Saturn was still the sun of the solar system.
Okay. Where did
they were not advancing. They didn't want to, move up the tree of life and graduate out into space and eventually ascend to the 5th level, which is the energy level, and it's outside the time stream, and develop. So they brought this new sun in, which coincidentally was made by the L. It's an artifact. They shut down Saturn, kicked it to the curb, and brought in this higher variable frequency sun to try and kick the Elven race in the butt developmentally. That's why we have the sun now. And that caused all kinds of havoc, which ended up with the destruction of Tiamat and everything. I mean, there's a whole mess there.
Okay, so where did the fallen angels come into this?
The fallen angels are the blue people who basically, okay, when you get to the 10th level up the tree of life, eventually you come back down to this level in the role of like Gaia or Eve, where you're given the job in this classroom. You're given a world that's a classroom, but it's your classwork to create a new, intelligent, sentient species who can eventually, on its own, ascend to the 5th level. That's the way this program works.
So what about this? I mean, it was said to us, and this is why I mentioned at the start of the show, that last Monday was supposed to be the date where 2.3 billion people, the consciousness, were supposed to rise to 5D.
Let me finish how this works.
Okay.
Originally, it was only supposed to be 10 to 20% avatar-driven humans from the 5th level down here learning this level so that when they get to 10, they know how to do this. Eventually, everybody that's born on the 5th level or above has to come down here in an avatar in this school. Not necessarily on this planet, but this happens to everybody. If your parents are born on the 5th level and they have children up there, you're nothing but a globe of energy, and you're linked down here. You're in an avatar body. Currently, there's only 8% of the human beings on this earth who are not avatar-driven. And they are the entire point of this classroom.
Well,
so this the whole awakening thing you're talking about,
yeah.
That's actually the Dracos, as soon as they got our oversight kicked off Earth, started editing us at the DNA level. They removed our 3rd spiral, and that closed down our uplink.
Right, so the whole idea of us having 12 strands of DNA and only 2 active, is that...
no, it's not 12, it's only 3.
It's only 3. And
that's what we're supposed to have. We originally had 3, that's why you have Hustine bonds and everything. They're made to hook 3 ways.
So are we going to get... Is there a kind of an energy hitting the planet at the moment, which is Wave X, what people are talking about?
The sun frequency is going up, and so is Gaia.
Okay, and can the negatives deal with that energy change?
If we move to the 5th level of energy, the Dracos can no longer interact with us. They are a 3rd level species who uses technology to bootstrap themselves up to 4th, and their 4th level overlaps ours. They have a wider range of perception, and it overlaps ours. That's why they brought in the Elva DNA, crossbred into humans just to lower their DNA frequency, so they could hijack the bodies. I've got the contract that they signed back in 1716 with the first Elven-human hybrid, who was Morgan Le Fay, the Queen of the Fae, the then Queen of England, and the Queen of the Dracos.
Okay, that's interesting. Now, one of the things that you said to me when we originally talked a few weeks ago was that about the avatars, 8% of the people will ascend, but the rest are just avatars.
When you graduate from the school, you go home. Except they've screwed this classroom up so bad that nobody's learning what they're down here to learn. That is why population goes up.
So what?
There's always new kids being born on the 5th.
Yeah.
They all got to come down here and go to school.
Okay, so what's going to happen to the planet then? Is there anything planned?
Gaia is already throwing totally new, not in the genome at all, mitochondrial DNA into everybody, including males, into your mainstream DNA to fix and undo what the Dracos and Anunnaki have done.
So that's what's happening now.
This is pissing off the G20 because I hacked into their whole genetic program where they're trying to manually build their 3rd spiral back for themselves. I mean, back when Billy Clinton was in office, he went to the Dracos. He said he wanted the genetic information so they could fix themselves back up. And they said no. So that's why they started the Human Genome Program.
So this upgrade that we're getting, or we're all getting, what's that going to give us? What's that going to enable us to do?
Everything that Jesus Christ could do, and then some. Because that's the way we were originally dealt.
Right, okay. So when they're talking about this upgrade and the energy hitting the planet, about having all the clairvoyance, clairsentience, clairaudience, levitation, telekinesis, and all this telepathy...
You have to understand how DNA works.
Okay.
If you picture a radio wave, a lower tone is a longer wave. Now, where that wave impacts the different links on your DNA, those are the ones that are turned on. The higher the frequency, the more it impacts more of your DNA, the more it turns on. That's how that system works.
Right, okay. So and
that's why they eat some of these folks, but you got to do it just right. Eat the monotonic gold. What that does is coats your two spirals that you got, and then it doesn't matter where the waves hit. It turns on all your DNA on.
Okay,
but that's dangerous. You got to have just the right amount. Eat too much, and you actually coat the whole thing, cut off all the signal.
So what's happening with Gaia now with the weather conditions and the patterns that we're experiencing globally?
She's not the one doing that.
Sorry?
She's not the one doing that.
She's not. It's HAARP, is it?
It's HAARP and chemtrailing.
Right, okay. And where are we with the chemtrails? What's happening with that? What's their plan of attack with the chemtrails?
Oh, there's like 7 or 8 different issues with that. They can use it to target weather, to do the things like they just did down in Guatemala, do mudslides. Most of the land, they've dried it out. They're dropping most of it in the ocean, and what little moisture is left in the atmosphere, they can target that like a weapon. And the reason why they did that is they currently in Guatemala, they got 600 bodies missing. The government is not doing anything. The people are screaming at them to get outside to help, and they said no. That's because those people are now food for the Archons. And once the Archons have sucked all the fear, pain, anger of those people that are buried out of them, they'll teleport them, and they'll become food for the tall gray, the tall whites.
Yeah. Well, we've heard about this before, about these. We talked about, a couple of weeks ago, we had a lady on called Stephanie Ralph who talked about don't get on the ships because of movies like Jupiter Ascending, The Time Machine, How to Serve Man, Twilight Zone, and all these movies relating to the man not being at the top of the food chain, that they were on the top, and we were being seeded for food for them. I mean,
you need to understand. A lot of these races, they lie like you wouldn't believe. The Anunnaki, especially. The Anunnaki, the reason why they're on that little tiny planetoid, which they lie and call Nibiru, although it is a globe of crossing, just like the real Nibiru is. The difference is the real Nibiru is more than 7 times the size of Earth, and the Anunnaki's Dyson sphere is less than 1/10 the size of our moon.
Okay.
Big difference. And it's been in orbit lately. I caught a shot of it that was for more than 2 days in one place.
Okay, so what are we seeing in the sky? If people are taking 2 photos,
the second sun they keep seeing, that is the blue Kachina, and it's almost as big as our sun. And she came in with 3 planets with her.
Yeah.
And that, you have to have a real sun with an entity in it for the council to have power to work with. Again, our sun does not have an entity in it. It's an artifact built by Liel because it has a sun gate in it. That is an access point to the Milky Way transit system.
Okay, but didn't the Hopi Indians say that when you see the blue Kachina and the red Kachina, that's a sign
the red Kachina is the one that got driven out. If this class was either graduated or was so messed up without having been interfered with, then the red one would have just wiped it clean.
So what you're saying is Planet X, Nibiru, and it's not going to be coming in.
Nibiru's here. Okay. Nibiru has nothing to do. And Planet X, and again, I go through this with my group. Do you know what the definition of Planet X is?
No. The
planet that was disturbing all our outer planets' orbits. And you know what that planet is? That's Sedna. Planet X is Sedna. Has nothing to do with our second sun or Nibiru.
Okay, so if they mention...
Our second sun is called Wormwood.
Well, I was going to say that. They mention Wormwood in the Bible.
Yeah. Well, the Dracos wrote the Bible. So the Anunnaki brought religion and politics. And back in Egypt day, when we kicked the Anunnaki off, we revolted. The Aquilans staged an assault on Earth, and the Dracos and the Anunnaki had to go up and defend Earth. And we revolted at that point and kicked the Anunnaki off.
Okay, so so the
Dracos picked up the religion thing and did the Christian thing, and by then the Martians, Lemurian, had sunk Atlantis and come ashore. Your Martians are your Muslims, and your Hebrews are your Lemurians.
Okay, and the Irish are?
Your actually original tribe and some of you are cross mixed with Elvins.
Okay. Now, we've been told that the Irish are very important to what's going on because of our background and our race and stuff. Do you know anything about that?
Primarily because of the Alvin. You were a key point, especially for the Tudor group, which was, the Queen Elizabeth's line.
Yeah.
The Dracos brought you guys in specifically to lower DNA frequency so they can hijack you. The Queen Elizabeth, she's just a Dracos wearing a human skin.
Yeah, we've
the Queen Mother was too, and we're really concerned about who that Dracos jumped into when she dropped that bounty.
Yeah, because Ike actually talks about that, and he said the same thing. And I think when you see movies like Jupiter Ascending, because they use Hollywood quite a lot, and one of the
see, that's the thing. There is some truth to that.
Yeah,
because real DNA, if it hadn't before it had been screwed with the by the Dracos, because they've edited us 76 times that we've got records of, and the Anunnaki did the splice of our second and third chromosomes to get us down to 46 count. Because when the Anunnaki first showed up, they made a deal with the Dracos. So they wanted to make us better miners. So the Dracos said, no, you can't breed with them directly because that would put our third spiral back. Now, the Zetas are one of the original 12 groups. But the Dracos control the Zetas' homeworld just like they do here.
Hmm.
So they set them up with the Anunnaki. The Anunnaki and the Zetas made a hybrid. That's your Zionists. That's the folks that's camped out at the South Pole. When they got the offspring from that, they implanted it into Hebrews, your Lemurians.
Yeah.
Artificial insemination. That's why they took them through the isolation, the 40-year trek through the desert. That was following a Zeta spaceship. That was to get a breeding population of these new hybrids. And then they bred that with humans, and then they got Jesus. So and look what a mess that was. He was an avatar, and Queen Elizabeth's line grabbed up that whole bloodline and said, oh, give me this. We're taking this. And that's the birth of your Templars.
Okay, so this the whole thing about 8% of the planet and the rest are avatars. You said something.
They're of no use to the Dracos, so the Dracos has been killing them. The Dracos, their game plan was to hybridize the humans so they could interlink with them, because they think they can steal our uplink and go up and invade the 5th level up the tree of life, because whoever's in control up there controls everything down here.
Yeah,
that's their game plan. We've told them that's a physical impossibility. They don't care. They're still doing it. And that's how they're actually physically really killing kids. Up on the 5th level of the tree of life, outside this time stream.
So how can they get up there and kill them if they...
They drain or short-circuit their uplink. The reason why the little gray aliens, the Solid 50 Ray, have a contract with the Dracos is because they're all clones. Their mental power and their minds is so strong that they've actually overridden the DNA signal they have. And they not only lost their ability to reproduce, they lost their reproductive organs. So that is why they, do their thing with humans, was to interbreed and get back their abilities to reproduce and make avatars again.
Okay.
They are 6th level beings.
So the 8% that you think are something that are important on the planet, what are they? What is that 8%?
The entire classroom is about. Gaia made 12 prototypes, 12 different types. There were about 10 to 12,000 each. I've got the map on Eden of the lab where she made them. The tribes were made last because the Dracos started the Elven Aquilin War. The Aquilins are a water species. So they basically got into it, and the Fae, the Pixie Fae, who have more powers than they're supposed to have, almost put an end to the Aquilins. So Eden got put in quarantine.
Yeah, it's
isolated. The only way you can get there was only a few gates left open. Now, somebody asked me, where are the Jinn? The Jinn were some of the Pixie Fae who actually got hit with the mutagenic during that war. And they were some really nasty customers. Now, the Christians, originally, that whole religion was started and given tools to fight the Jinn. That is where that got started.
And this war, you're saying that this war now is down on a level that we can see. We're seeing it now on a regular basis in the skies.
Yeah, the Council 12 is back, and the war's been going on for years upstairs. I've got all kinds of stuff, from the Lasco and Soho satellites and stuff that I've been putting out there for people to look at. They won't show this on the regular Soho site. Matter of fact, I gave out the link, and they wiped it out, and I had to find a new way.
So who's fighting with who?
The Anunnaki and Dracos. The Dracos have like 6 allies. The Anunnaki has 2. They used to be allied. That's your G20 group. But now there's a major split, and that's why stuff is getting out in the mainstream media. They're no longer playing on the same team.
Okay, so where do you stand with Putin?
China and Putin are both. Well, Putin's kind of straddling the fence, but basically China and Putin are with the Anunnaki. The Queen and Obama and them are all in the Dracos camp. Plus, you've got the AIs out there. There's 2 different ones because you got to understand the Anunnaki are not even from Laniakea at all. You know about Laniakea?
No.
The entire fabric that our galaxy and all the rest here are sitting in. That's called Laniakea.
Right. Okay, well, I wasn't aware of that.
They're not from Laniakea at all. They were running on their little planetoid that was in orbit around their home planet, an experiment sort of like the ancient elves did with building the sun gates. They were trying to build gates.
Okay, well, I said...
And stuff. They squeezed themselves out of their space-time continuum entirely, destroying their home world, and we think possibly their whole origination galaxy, and popped out our black hole.
Okay.
There's 3 of us, Sirius, and one other solar system. We all spin around a common black hole. That's what they popped out of. And they rode in to Earth with our second sun. That's how they survived the trip. That's why when they got here, they needed all the monotonic gold out of our oceans to heal from that bad trip. And then the gold was to build the Dyson sphere.
Okay. Well, where do we stand now? Just going back down to earth regarding Putin and Obama. I mean, where are we at the moment if they're fighting each other? I mean, Putin seems to be in the media anyway, the guy that's kind of making a change and fighting the cabal. I mean,
Putin's actually done a partial disclosure when he was sort of on news camera but not on camera. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It was after the thing was off, and the news guy still had the camera going, and he said a lot of things, to the news folks, which he didn't know was going out and getting recorded.
Okay, so this is, and Putin said this. Is this available?
Yeah, actually, RT News has it.
That would be good to kind of get our hands on that and to have a look.
And Putin's threatened Obama to expose him entirely. I mean, the council has come down, had meetings with the global thing, all the world leaders, and said, look, no more World War III.
Yeah.
And they had the little gray solid 50 rays go around to all the missiles and remove all the fissionables.
Okay, so
if you're worrying about World War III, forget it.
It's not going to
happen. Guess what? We got all these missiles, but the warheads are empty.
Right. So what about disclosure? When is that officially going to happen?
I've already done it, and because of it, there's tidbits of this, and everything Hollywood puts out, Obama's claiming he's already done disclosure.
Right. Okay. Well, I don't.
In a manner of speaking, he has.
Yeah. Well, I don't.
Unless you're a part of the culture.
Yeah. I don't.
How can he can show them videos, and they're not part of this culture, so they don't understand that. What has been put in movies and everything else is not disclosure.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't call, unless I see Obama going on TV and making a disclosure, it's not disclosure. But then again, what they don't want to do as well is that...
They've had disclosure in Congress on C-SPAN, but they do it during major football events or something like that, and nobody's watching, except the people that already know about it.
Yeah, well, people. I think people are going to, they're going to have to see it on the 9 o'clock news, because if they don't see it, they're not going to believe it. It's just the way people are, and that's just the way it is. I think. Do we have questions there, Steve?
No, I saw one there. Putin put out a thing about the fake alien invasion and everything, because he knows about the project going on down at Pine Gap in Australia. The Dracos had make up a bunch of fake ETs, little gray aliens who are actually cyborgs, and they were going to pull a fake ET invasion and put people in the crafts and take them to the FEMA death camps. That didn't work because we put that out. There's also the thing now with Project Bluebeam. That whole thing was to fake a rapture.
Yeah, that's right.
Same purpose.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got a lot of game plans lined up, including false flag nukes and everything, which we've stopped all them. We almost didn't get one. He set one to blow up in South Carolina, and we barely caught that one in time. We couldn't get the disarm code, so we had to take it off shore and drop it off the Atlantic shelf, and it blew up out there. So we have to keep on top of it. If we give stuff out in public, they can't do it. Okay. It's like the London Olympics. They were going to blow a bomb there, and we put that so out public they couldn't do it.
So are they getting desperate? Is it, I mean,
yes. That's what I mean. That's what the CERN's about. With no ability to bring in any new troops, they're trying to use CERN to open the Einstein-Rosen bridge to the Dracos home system.
That's right. Simon Park said that to us. That they're trying to open it up for a gateway to bring people in and to access a gateway.
I mean, they've got a bunch of gates. They got the Arden gates. They've actually thrown one up in the sky, but those are only good for within the Sol system.
Yeah. Well,
and, one of the main bases, the Mimas, the moon around Saturn, is one of their main outer system bases. So. Well, and they did transfer us out to there.
We have loads of questions, so we're going to quick forward them over to you. Steve is going to go through the questions now, and then if you want to, because I know there's so much to talk about. We'll try and get as much as we can done. Steve?
Yeah, Pattie, the fact that you're on the chat room, you're probably seeing a lot of the chat that's going on. And as we always say, like, you're giving us information. It's just information. It may not resonate with everybody, but you know, it's just information, and if people could just take it, pop it in a little box in their head with a question mark on that little box, you know, maybe at some time it may resonate, or maybe it may never resonate, but it's just information. But I mean, the fact that you're on the chat, you're probably saying, like, some people are saying, like, it's what you're saying is,
how do I get all
BS.
This information?
Yeah.
Nothing that NASA's got on Earth or up in space, I can't look through.
Okay.
On Mars.
Yeah. So the
G20 group and the New World Order, I've broken into their entire genome program. I've got screen captures of all of that too.
Do you have any photos of any crafts that are advanced tech?
Yes, plenty. Both ours and theirs. I put all that up too. I also show the sign, you know, the ones in ID, the stuff that comes burning in, what kind of craft it is, who owns it.
Brilliant. Well, there you go. I suppose, you know, at the end of the day,
I put up the original, and you know, this is what that is.
And these photos are all on your Facebook page, are they?
Yeah, they're either on my Facebook page or on Nibiru account now.
Brilliant. Okay, well, people, if you want to go over and see these photos, go over to Pattie's Facebook page.
I've got the build plans for warp drives and, you know, everything. You know, we actually have warp drive ships too, but I mean, that's old hat for these folks.
Right. Okay. We'll go over to try and get the questions done, Steve.
Yeah, I'd like to have warp drive on my car. get to work quicker. What about predictions of fake alien invasions? What part does the Pope play? Karen wants to know.
The Pope really doesn't play a big part in that, but you got to understand they eat humans and ritual sacrifices. They are powered by Saturn. That's where they're drawing their energy. It's a lower frequency energy. Saturn has been pissed off ever since he got shut down and kicked to the curb, and he's been interfering ever since. That is that whole power feed group. That's why when they go out to California and they do that thing there, it's when Saturn's at its closest approach.
Right.
Okay. Just kind of expanding on a question that, you answered there previously, but Chris was wondering, would a lot of the information that you get, is it from hacking in or is it channeled? Because Chris is wondering if the information is channeled, have you ever considered that you may be getting false information?
No, the only stuff I get channeled, and that's through my Indian heritages directly from Gaia. That's my only link. And that is history prior to them even coming to the Milky Way galaxy. The rest of the stuff is all hard data. It's all hard scientific data and proof from just being in the system and screen capturing and, you know, all that.
Okay, Pat on People's Internet Radio is wondering, how or why did the so-called aliens acquire the ability to lie?
You got to understand the Dracos, and for the most part, the Anunnaki. Most of your lower types, especially the third level of creation, they have no emotions. They have no sense of right or wrong. If it advances their agenda, they'll say whatever it's going to take to get their way. I mean, a lot of people look, at these people and they say, "How could you do that? This is killing your children." You got to understand, these are Dracos wearing human skins. They brought them all the way down to almost death, and then entered the body and took them over, keeping all the memories and everything.
Yeah.
The Pope, he's not human. He's Dracos. These people, that's what these blood rituals are about. They eat people.
But which is one of the things we said a few weeks ago. We talked about this. And the people want to they use Hollywood as a platform. Go and see Jupiter Ascending, the movie.
This will put it in perspective. Do you feel guilty when you sit down at your dinner table and eat a steak?
No.
Right. Neither do they.
Although Steve would. I wouldn't.
But you're the cow.
Yeah. Well, that's why I said we're not at the top of the food chain. We think we are, but we're not.
But they're not. They're lower life forms. As a matter of fact, the Dracos didn't get off their world on their own. They've never invented anything. A ship crashed, they got the technology. In other words, they got some help. They've never invented anything ever. Everything they have, they stole from another race. That is what they need us for. They have no creative ability at all. None.
Okay. Steve, another question there?
Yeah, another question. John is wondering, Pattie, what are your opinions on Corey Goode and David Wilcock's disclosure of the secret space program?
I know David. I don't know. I've seen some of Corey's stuff, not enough to. I don't really have time yet. Not if I'm getting new data in. I've talked to David on Skype, so yeah, he's pretty on top of things.
Okay. And the Blue Avians, have you heard about them?
Yeah, they are. The tribes call them the Blue People. The space program calls them the Blue Avians. If you're a Christian, they're the angels. Archangel Michael, he's a Blue Avian.
Right, okay, that's so interesting. And where are they now at the moment? Have they left or are they still in?
No, they're on the moon, basically trying to help out. They're actually stepped way outside the remit at this point, and they're helping every way they can.
Right, okay.
Because they can teleport you and do all kinds of fun stuff. But their job, as assigned by Gaia, was when your avatar body died, if you were not done in this classroom, they take your uplink, they match it via what you still have to learn and the frequency of your last body to tune it to a new fetus to run you through this classroom again. Right. And you stay here until you graduate. And the only people that are really graduating are the Buddhist monks, but they cheated. Gaia ran 7 classes of other students for other student teachers out there in the galaxy through their classes here, brought them to level 5 here on Earth before she even brought us through the gate. We got records of 5 of them, but the ETs tell us, there's been 15. 12 of which are members of the council.
Okay, I thought we make a choice whether we come back or not. Because
you got to understand, Gaia was on Eve's original world, which was in another galaxy, and she was level 6 at the time, and she stepped from level 6 to to Eve's dorm at level 10. Set off every alarm there was. So while she was talking to Mother Eve, the council that ruled that galaxy came and wiped Eve's world clean. Wow. And then came and kicked Eve out. And she smuggled Gaia off campus. She was the last of her species, the first group that Eve ever made. That's why when she made the album, she made them lower energy. They're not saltwater biology. They're freshwater biology. That's one of the major differences between Eden and Earth. There's no salt water on Eden. That's why when the humans, during that mutagenic war that got hit, became the Mer people, and they had to be transferred here, to the oceans here, because they could not survive on Eden.
Okay.
Neither could the Jinn.
So what about the whole reincarnation thing and the whole idea that we can choose whether we come back down or not to be reincarnated?
You can't choose whether you come back down. Unless you're someone like me. I'm a former graduate. I volunteered for this job.
Okay. So what about the whole kind of white light at the end of the tunnel when you pass over?
That's going to the Blue People's waiting room to be reassigned to a new fetus. And it's that waiting list is getting longer and longer and longer because nobody's graduating. There's more kids being born on the 5th, and that's why population is going up.
Yeah, we heard that just, everybody that has been on the Earth is on the Earth at the moment, apparently. That's what they're saying, because maybe it's because of this, because the graduation hasn't taken place.
I mean, what I said back in 2013, there was so much going on, and until I saw it with my own eyes, I have a hard time believing some of the crap that they drive stars and planets around like we do cars. I watched the second sun come in, throw on the brakes, and take a 90-degree turn with all of her system.
Okay, we've moved.
It's like your jaw drops open and you go, what?
Yeah. But you're right. I mean, you have to be able to see the stuff and experience it. We've got more questions for you there, Pattie. Steve.
Yeah, John on the chat room was saying, he said, sorry, but Michael is not a blue avian. The prophet Daniel was contacted by Gabriel, and so was Mary, and not mention of blue birds with wings. Any comments on that, Pattie?
Everybody has their own opinion. I'm just telling you the facts as I know them.
Okay. That's
okay.
fine.
And John Anthony is wondering...
I know somebody who knows Michael personally.
Okay.
Trained him to do the job he's here to do, which is Dr. Tony Marino.
Minervino, yeah.
He's here to ID Dracos who are inside human skins, and Michael trained him to do it.
Okay, well, we had Tony on the show. Tony and Karen have been on the show, and Tony said that he has a background in...
yeah, he and I had a long talk one night, and he explained everything that he was taught to, and that's basically what they trained him to do, and he's not doing what he was trained to do, which he ought to be.
Oh, okay, well, you have to talk to Tony about that. Well,
yeah.
we have another question for you, Steve.
Yeah, we're just Al over in Oregon in the US is wondering, is Dr. Stephen Greer one of these aliens, or is he disinfo?
He was on top of things. They kidnapped him. He was missing for about 2 weeks, and he came back speaking an entirely different song. So they've brainjacked him. He's either an alien, either a Dracos at this point, or they've screwed his mind over that he's actually trying to indoctrinate people to get their frequency down so they can be taken over by Dracos at this point. I heard about his latest little show there in England, and that's basically what that is in a nutshell.
Yeah, we were kind of watching Stephen Greer there for a while, and we were getting very excited with the Disclosure Project, and as you say, all of a sudden, then nothing, just kind of stopped.
How many alien types? I know there's 40 different species currently dug here on Earth that they got to dig out. We've had more than 215 that we've got records for that have done some time here on Earth, and some of them have done the horizontal bump and put some really screwed up genetics into our genome. That the CDC actually isolated some of these folks underground and put the rising Schumann frequency in there, and they went nutsoid. So there is some truth to the whole zombie apocalypse report that the CDC put out, but it's not what they claim it is.
Okay, we have a question from David here saying that what alien group is the EU Council and the Vatican aligned with?
Dracos.
Dracos, okay. And of course, all this kind of bloodline stuff is all got to do with keeping the blood pure for breeding.
Yep. That's what I mean. They originally, the Queen of England did the Elven influx, signed the contract with the Dracos. That was the whole thing, so they could hybridize. And then once hybridized, they could get hijacked. And now it's actually Dracos running things.
Right, Steve, you've got more questions?
Yeah,
there?
John Anthony is wondering, are Hollywood sci-fi movies and war movies used to condition our mind? I think we can say they are, but what's your take, Pattie?
Somewhat. It's desensitization therapy,
yeah.
basically.
Yeah, so I mean, basically...
well, not all of it. You saw Independence Day?
Yeah.
Those two races wanted to come down and help us, and they had abilities even more powerful than the Gray as far as mental abilities. So they did the Independence movie, made them the bad guys, so if they came down, we would shoot them.
Right.
Reverse psychology.
But do you agree that the fact we're in a universe of duality, there is positive and negative ETs out there?
Yeah. I mean, I've got a map of the what we know of to be the settled portions of the Milky Way, and it's a shitload of worlds. And when you step back and look at Laniakea and the whole thing of it, you know where we fit in there? We don't even manage a pinhead.
Well, that's interesting. And
so, one of the things with the Dracos, and this is what boggles the mind, and this is a fact, the Council of 12 was warned by elder races from outside the Milky Way before Gaia and Eve ever came into the Milky Way that the Dracos were a problem. The Dracos are persona non grata in every other galaxy. If they use any of the jump gates in the transit system to go to another galaxy, they're killed on sight.
Right.
And yet, the Council of 12 hired the Dracos, because they were squatters here, to run the Avatar program.
Why do you think there's other people out there and they talk about different areas of space and ETs, and there's contradictions between people? Why is there so many contradictions, do you think? Well,
like I said, when the Martians jumped to Lemuria and then screwed up the Merkaba system, they fell down to Atlantis. They fractured our space-time. And that rip never got patched. So Earth is also sort of like the smuggler's back door. You no longer have to go to the black hole in the middle of the Milky Way universe, get a permit to go into interdimensional travel. That's why a lot of times you'll see an ET craft wink into our airspace, zip across, and then wink out again.
Yeah.
We are the smuggler's back door.
Are we a prison planet?
We were until the Martian Lemurians did that whole explosive bit, fractured the space-time continuum, and fell to Atlantis. That broke our containment. But every world, until they graduate, is in confinement.
Okay.
That's a universal thing.
Okay, and what about the timeline that we're on? Did the timeline change in 2012?
Now, here's the thing. This is how the Dracos started the Aquilin Elven War. They took a priestess of us, what we were meant to be, because if you use the Sun Gates the wrong way, you can actually travel backwards and forwards through time. And the Dracos have ships that can use the Sun Gates. So they took a packet of us, or what we would have been if they hadn't interfered. They are the ones that screwed up the Aquilin's world. And their females were dying. They were water species. They polluted the shit out of their planet. They gave them a packet of us and said, these people can help you. They gave them a ship. And they told them deliberately the wrong way to use the Sun Gate. They went back and asked the Elven to help them. The Elven couldn't help them. And that is what touched off that war. And immediately it touched off the war and got the Elven and most of our oversight put into quarantine. That created a paradox. Because the people we were meant to be would not be meant to be, that's not what we were becoming.
Yeah.
That created a split in the timeline.
Yeah, well, I was going to say that because
this is the facts. The Aquilins showed up again, driving a Draco ship, and that is who attacked Earth when the Anunnaki were here. And the Dracos and the Anunnaki had to go up and defend Earth from that ship, and that is on the pyramids.
So the fact that we're not the people that we should be because we were hijacked.
It's getting, that's what I mean. The timelines are diverging back together, and there's a lot of weird stuff out there happening where people don't necessarily remember things exactly the same. Because as more and more of the divergent lines, every time something happens, you get a split. These are all forging back together. So now you've got people with different memories.
Okay, so what's the
timelines come back together?
Was there a timeline change in 2012?
That's garbage. The Mayan calendar, and this, I knew about this, they deliberately left off the fact that the Mayans had a year zero. So September or December 21st, 2013 was actually the date.
Okay. But are we on the
Incidentally,
okay.
The contract with the Queen of England, which was signed in 640 BC by the Clan Mother, expired September of 2013. So the Queen of England no longer has any authority at all.
Okay, maybe she should be told that, because I think...
Well, she was actually kicked out of the Royal Palace September 8th, 2013. She was served notice by the clan mother, and they ran. If you see the Queen of England over there now, it's not one of her, it's one of her doubles. She's camped out at the Denver Dome. I've got a satellite view down at her palace. I tracked her plane there, the whole thing.
I was going to say that to you.
Because Obama is her CEO of the Corporation of the United States of America, owned by the Queen. And he won't arrest her, obviously.
Because she left Buckingham Palace, on inverted commas, because it had to be decorated or refurbished.
No, she got kicked out.
So what was
by the clan mother?
So what we're seeing is a clone of the Queen.
Yeah, she's got like 4 of them.
Right, but why are they there?
And the thing is, the Dracos live about 30,000 years by doing the skin hopping bit.
Right, but why are they clones there? If that's a clone, why are they there? They should be kicked out as well, shouldn't they?
There's a problem with that. The clan mother has no troops. Otherwise, she probably would.
Yeah.
And she's the last of the bloodline for the 13th clan mother. And she's done the decrees: no more commerce, no more corporations. So now they're hunting her. That's Karen.
Right. Okay. Well, I know.
If they kill her, that whole thing goes down the toilet because there's nobody to replace her with.
Yeah. Well, we talked about to Karen about that. All right, about her being the clan mother. So the timeline, are we on a positive timeline at the moment?
We're merging into the positive one.
Okay.
Gaia's working, like I said, she's taking mitochondrial DNA that's not in the genome anywhere and throwing it into everybody to fix your DNA. This is why they put into everybody in cities. They come out with these new higher frequency cell phones and the new wireless networks and everything. Is to cut out Gaia's signal.
Mm. So they are trying to affect Gaia in a way that keep us down and not for us to
cut her off from fixing you. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And how's that going at the moment?
Not very well.
For them.
That's why they're trying to push more and more people into cities.
Yeah. Well, that's why. This is Agenda 21 or Agenda 2030.
Yeah. 21.
They're trying to get people out of the countryside and push them all in the city so they can have the control.
Now, the Council of 12 has been down and hitting dumbs left and right. If you look at the quake monitors, they're not quake monitors. And if you look at the site and match them up with the dumb sites are, they're hitting dumbs.
Okay, well, that's pretty good. I mean, 129 plus in America.
What you got to do is got to go to the IRAS quake monitoring system because it lets you go to extra functions and see the waveform and everything and listen to the waveform.
Okay.
Because if you listen to the waveform, the ones that are attached, you can tell clear as day they are not quakes. There's metal bashing and everything else.
Okay, well, we have more questions coming in for you there, Pattie. Steve.
Yeah, we've loads of questions.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just jump to one real quick. Karen was wondering who is the clan mother?
Karen Ann McDonald.
Karen, who's been on the show a couple of weeks ago with Tony. Karen is the clan mother.
Yeah, and Karen's is also wondering, can focused consciousness heal the water, leading to a type of spontaneous combustion with enough participants online?
If they're spiritually awoke enough, yeah. There's some issues with doing that. It's better to have the right kind of stones to weed out the worst of the radioactive content and stuff. Most people can do the contamination stuff, but unless you're really technical, you're not going to get the radioactive stuff. But there are, you'll notice that all the major monoliths that we have, down in South America and everything else in the original coatings over the pyramids, all those stones repel neutrons naturally.
Okay. Speaking of those, do you have any information on material from Russia called shungite?
Yeah, that's shungite. Is that the name of it?
Yeah, Shungite.
That's one of the stones, right?
Yeah, it's in a mine. I think it's in a place like, I think it's called Karlia in Russia.
Yeah, that's one of them.
Okay, well that's good to know because we have some of that here. We use it and we wear it.
Yeah, because that'll repel neutrons naturally.
Yeah.
And you guys are a mess because I also hack in the EPA and the Eurodep, and you guys are sitting in about 400 right now CPM. And France has got a meltdown going on.
There was I was watching something the other day that they said that
there's over 9 million. There's 4 spots around it where they got monitors that are reading over 420,000. So I went on and put a satellite down on it and looked at it. They've got a big hole in their turbine roof, and there's the sparklies coming out of it.
And this
they got a explosion, and the valve to their reactor core is wide open to the turbine building. It's going right out the roof.
Okay, so we have Sellafield over in the UK, and what you're saying
it's not Sellafield. This is one of the active ones. It's got 2 reactors. One of them is shut down, and the other one's pissing out the roof.
Okay, and we're not being told about this.
No, they had an explosion in the turbine building. Right. And it blew a hole through the roof.
Okay, I think people need to know about this. Do you know exactly the location of that?
Just a minute. What it is it gives me the coordinates. It doesn't give me the name of the town, which is...
Okay, well, this is in the UK.
Yeah, it's in France. That's
okay.
the messed up way they do things there.
Basically, what Pattie is saying is that we have nuclear reactors for generating power, and they have them in the UK. One's on I think it's in Wales, is it, that reactor, Steve?
I think it is.
It's in Wales.
Yeah.
One of them, or maybe, I don't know which ones are active, but apparently...
Yeah, you've got one that's way out in the point, almost as if you're going out to Ireland.
That's Wales,
and that one is pushing 420.
Yeah, no, that's not good, because years ago in Ireland, didn't we have some scare over that?
Over the one in Wales?
Yeah.
I'm not sure now. We may have. I know there was the Sellafield scare.
Yeah, well, no, it's not Sellafield in Wales. It's not Sellafield. That's the same one.
Is that the same one?
In the core.
I'm just going to
the entire core burned. Sellafield. So yeah, Sellafield's a mess.
Right. Well, I'm just going to have a look at Sellafield. I'm pretty sure
Sellafield's going to be a mess for another 30 years.
Right. Well, that looks like Sellafield looks like it's in Wales. I'm pretty sure, by looking at the map here, and yeah. Well, let's actually tell a lie. It's not in Wales. It's up near. I don't know exactly where they're showing the map, but they're not showing the town. Funny enough, quite convenient. In Cumbria, it's in Cumbria. Sellafield's in Cumbria, and if that's chucking out radiation, or what is it chucking out, Pattie?
The one in Wales, 420 CPM constant.
Yeah, but what is it throwing out? Radiation, is it?
Radiation, but I don't know what they're running in the core. Are they running uranium? Are they running MOX?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's what I mean. One of the problems about your Eurodep system is not as good as the EPA because I can't get content readings.
Okay.
At least with the EPA system, I can get actual ranges of what's coming out of it and tell you what the content is.
Hmm.
Whereas you guys, you just got CPM. All your beta readers in throughout the entire European continent are shut off.
Well, I wonder why. Okay, let's pop off to the questions and see what else we have here.
Yeah, again, a lot of questions. I'm just going to jump through them in no particular order. But Chris wondered there a little while ago when we spoke about the Greys. He said, Pattie, do the Greys carry out abductions, and if so, why?
The Solid 50 Ray are now asking permission of the people before they take them in the ship. They were, but they do not do the horror show ones. They basically put you to sleep, and they just take genetic samples, and they put a little tiny tracking bit in you that's not poisonous. It's surrounded by cortisol. So I mean, they're not the problems. It's the Archons, which are the tall, gray-looking ones, and there's another smaller group that look sort of brown. They're a complete slave race to the Archons. Those two are the ones that do the real horror shows, the real PTSD grade abductions.
But
and they'll put stuff in you, and they don't care if it poisons you.
But do they have to ask your permission?
The solid 50 ray grays, the little grays, now understand that the people who gave them permission, that they signed a contract with in the government, had no authority to do stuff.
That's right, because we've heard this before about source or whatever agreement is in place, that people have to get your consent. The government and everything else is all about consent.
If it's left up to me, if they actually ask me, I'm giving the solid 50 ray a free get out of jail free card, because when push comes to shove, even though it goes against the contract with the Dracos, they always come in on our side, even though from it's through enlightened self-interest. The Dracos want the low frequency RH negative types. The solid rays need the high frequency RH positive plus. The unmodified folks.
So this is of the blood type, RH negative and RH positive.
Yeah, the RH negatives are not part of Gaia's original group. You've been modified right out of the program.
Okay, so RH positive, if somebody is RH positive?
All 12 original ones that Gaia made were all RH positive.
Okay, so you're in the lucky group if you're RH positive. I don't know what I am.
Some stuff Gaia will be able to fix, others not. It depends on how much your percentage has gone so far, way, way over the line, where you're more like Dracos or how many others. I mean, have you looked at the rare blood groups we've got now?
No.
There's more than 70 types.
Wow. That's quite a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much of that Gaia can fix.
Yeah. I think what we are going to include in the last 20 minutes, we're going to be talking about the positives and what's happening, but we'll try and get through the questions for our listeners anyway. Steve?
Yeah, speaking of, when we spoke of frequency, Karen was also wondering, Pattie, how do we know who to believe in the terms of the Earth's frequency changing?
Oh, I'll have to give you the link. You can I monitor that regularly. And there's sites that actually do the daily readings.
Okay.
It's a graph. You can read it. Yeah, it's gone way up.
So the Schumann frequency of the Earth, which was 7.5 originally, has gone up now. Do you know?
It's almost 17.
Up to 17. And this is because of the energies hitting the planet?
No. That's Gaia doing that.
Okay.
I mean, the sun, all that you're seeing coming out of the sun is all the gate uses.
Okay.
That's what your flares and everything are.
Well, here's something. Now,
the sun is being shifted from level 4 output frequency to level 5, because that is where we are transferring. So it is going up too, but not as severely as we are.
Okay, well, I was watching a movie yesterday, and I recommend people watch it. I'm going to announce it, talk about it later on. It's called The Kingsman.
This is the other thing. The sun is not nuclear, by the way, people. It's electrical. And to prove it, I've got close-up cam shots inside the black holes, and you can see the circuitry, okay?
Right, okay, well, that puts a spin on Joanne's sky anomalies, and whether we're in a Truman Show, and whether we're in a...
Yeah. It's an artifact.
It's an artifact, okay.
They didn't start it up right when it was first brought out here and turned on, when they replaced that, and that is what ended up with the calamity that took out Tiamat.
Right, okay. Well, just going back to what I was saying there about the movie The Kingsman. Now, what happens is, if you get a virus in your body increases its temperature to get rid of the virus. So is Gaia increasing the frequency on the planet to get rid of a certain amount?
No, she's pushing your DNA.
Okay. Right. Well, that's okay.
Pushing the frequency of your DNA.
Okay.
And that's why you're going to have wars and strife and fear and all that. That's their game plan. That's their fear-mongering. That's still because your mind controls your DNA frequency. So you can actually push your DNA frequency lower, shut a bunch of it down, and you become better food.
Wow. So you have to it's again increasing your frequency. You have to increase your frequency. That's what
love's the highest frequency, and that's where you stay.
And we've said that love. It's all about love. It's a high frequency. That's where you have to be. We've said that time and time again on the show. Love is the answer. Forget about what the question is.
Now, the thing is, the more your DNA you turn on, the more of it gets repaired. The more your uplink opens back up to yourself.
Brilliant. So that's what we need to be doing. Okay, we have to keep that in mind. Steve, more questions there for Pattie.
Yeah, Paddy, Graham was wondering, do you believe that there is one supreme being, i.e. a consciousness, by default all other groups are subservient to, i.e. a source, creator, or a god?
The goddess of the all is so far above us, she needs nothing from us. And even the folks level 14 up the Tree of Life, who we've had conversations with, are just as clueless as to her nature as us. And when you get back and you look at Lanikia and understand that Lanikia, the whole of this, is probably no more than the Milky Way is inside this whole galaxy. And you start to get an idea of the true scale of the work she put out here, all these classrooms, and what it's for. It's creating new, intelligent life. That is the point of existence.
Okay, except in the doll. There's no intelligent life in there whatsoever.
And where?
That's okay. It's a private joke over here for people in Ireland.
It's the Irish politicians.
It's a government building over here. We call the doll. There's no intelligent life there whatsoever. Steve, next question.
Right, Timmy was wondering earlier on there, Paddy, is eating animals a sin?
Eating what?
Animals.
No.
No.
And yeah, I know, I go against Karen on that. She has her thing and I have mine. A lot of the ETs, once they get out into space, once you get up in the level 6 and whatnot, you don't need to eat meat.
Okay.
We were designed to eat meat.
It's just a choice then.
The problem is, both with meats and fruits and everything else, the Dracos did a series edit, and I've got a screen capture of that too, way back. They modified our stomach acid such that we have a hard time breaking down anything that isn't already pre-broken down to prevent us from rebuilding our third spiral. And that is what the Spanish Inquisition was about, what the Salem witch trials and all of that. That's what that was about, chasing down anybody who was rebuilding the third spiral naturally and killing them.
Right, and can we rebuild our third spiral?
Yes.
How do we do it?
Like I said, you got to get out of cities, for one. You got to get out where Gaia's frequency can communicate with you 24/7. Eat the right foods. There's an initial issue with you got to have magnesium and calcium, a high intake of magnesium and calcium, because when you first start forming your third spiral, if you don't, what happens you get is all three poles go to a negative charge and they try and push each other apart.
Okay, so
that's why the New World Order group did all the virus thing and the Ebola and all that. They've come up with a new one that's completely synthetic. It avoids the whole charge issue, but Monsanto can't deliver it, the package in their GMO food with the artificial sweeteners for the activator to activate the RNA. They have to inject that. That's why they do the Ebola and these vaccinations and all that, because the only way they can deliver that synthetic one is via injection.
Okay, well, we know they're trying to, Australia are force vaccinating the children. If you don't vaccinate your children, you don't claim from the social. You don't get your social payments.
Don't let them give your kids shots.
Yeah, well,
that's what they're delivering.
Yeah, we talk about that on a regular basis, and we do say to people, look, they have to make their own decision, but vaccinations are not good. Heavy metals and everything else.
I want to respond to John Titter. The goddess who created all, the only thing that ever creates life is generally female. Although everybody is both male and female, it's the female side of the equation that is complete code-wise. So we have to basically assume that of she who created it all as female. And when Gaia put us here on Earth, the females were in charge. And they're going back in charge, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, well, this is the whole thing about the age of Aquarius and the cycle, this sin wave, which we're going into the 26,000 years, is now female energy.
Well, the females were in charge because they take a longer view, take the consideration of children and everything in the future when they make decisions.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we've said that, mind you, we do have a few female politicians in government, and they might as well be men the way they think.
That's because of the situation they're stuck in. If they didn't do that, they wouldn't be in the position. It's that simple.
Yeah. I don't know. We'd have to, the jury would be out on that one for John Burton, I think. Steve, more questions there for Pattie?
Yeah, just an interesting point. I don't know if this is just a little anomaly, but John posted earlier that the sound was gone, hasn't worked from the beginning, and he said the UWS and the PIR player sound also disappeared. So I'm not sure if that was just a glitch in the system or if somebody was maybe trying to stop the information. But so far so good. I mean, we still have Pattie on the line, and Skype is still okay. It hasn't gone down, so. I think we're okay. Well, John also said, Pattie, something that you mentioned earlier, and I should have got this in when he said it, or when you said it, but I didn't. But he said, in relation to Eden, he said, sorry, but Eden was on Earth, as there are still two...
There was a place called Paradise, and I've got the map. Yeah, they label it Eden, but it's Paradise on Earth, is what the place and I've got the map with it and where it was located and everything, and that was on this side of the gate.
Okay, listen, just changing the subject.
And the Magi lived between Paradise and the gate.
The Magi. These beams of light that have been photographed around the world, what are they? What are them beams of light?
Probably weapon systems or cloaking technology.
Right, because we were kind of...
That's malfunction. Plus we have space weapons and we have ground-based stuff to shoot up.
Because we were told that some of them were actually beams to steady the Earth because of the Chandler effect, the wobble, because of the energy hitting the planet.
Gaia did that. She's because we're not going to have the second sun pass by. That's been canceled entirely.
Okay.
Normally that is what does the pole shift. And Gaia is putting Earth back to her original orientation, but you'll have the South Pole sitting up at Tagish Lake in Alaska.
So we're not going...
She's deliberately put the wobble to do a nice, gentle pole shift back.
So we're not going to have a pole shift. She's going
No, we're already well into it.
Yeah.
She's doing the pole shift, but she's doing it gently. In other words, there's not going to be no big waves that go across the whole globe and all that. We're not getting the regular pass by. Normally, when the second sun does its pass by, the basically the outer mantle of the Earth just spins, violently, and the water is tied to the moon, so it stays still, and that's where you get the whole flood and major catastrophe.
Well, what about the blue Kachina? I mean, people are seeing that beside the sun. What's that going to do? She's
the power source for the council to do all their fighting of the Dracos and the Anunnaki and all their allies. The sun is not an entity; it's an artifact.
Okay, so are we going to see more of that blue Kachina? Is that going to get bigger?
Yes, she's staying here. She's been here for 2 years now.
Okay, I see
her in the Soho all the time.
Okay.
That's what everybody sees. They think it's the second sun and all that. I mean, the blue Kachina is almost as big as our regular sun.
So, but are we going to see it as in on a daily basis? Is it going to get bigger? It's going to come closer?
No.
She's
not going to damage us.
Yeah.
She's here to help.
Okay, well, that's good to know if the pole shift's not going to happen, because there's a lot of people out there.
I stopped counting after I passed 40 world battle planets that have come in via the sun. And I posted the Neowise data that NASA didn't want to let go of. I posted that to her. If you take a look at that, you'll say, well, no wonder they couldn't put this out. Because without a full disclosure explaining all the lies they've sold forever, they could not explain what is on that chart. Period. Ever.
Okay. Well, so
it's just too many. There's just too much traffic out there.
So what about all these people that talk about Planet X coming in?
Here's the thing. Any of those globes,
yeah,
while working under drive, are sort of like inside of a warp drive field. They do not affect any other planets around them.
Okay.
They can drive right by Earth and it's not going to do anything. They have driven right by Earth and it hasn't done anything. I've watched it go down.
Right, okay. So so these people who are researching Planet X and say it's going to come in, Nibiru...
Yeah. Well, you look at what they teach you in school, the model of the solar system. Guess what? It's wrong.
Okay,
it's not even wrong. It's so badly wrong, it's pathetic.
But
the whole issue of orbital mechanics, throw it right out the window because it's wrong.
Okay, what about Nancy Leader, who's in connection with the Zetas?
The Zetas lie like a sack of shit because they're in league with the Anunnaki. They're not playing on our team, although they are one of the original providers of seed stock to Gaia.
Right, so they're lying. So they're kind of telling Nancy Leader
anything that comes out their mouth, take it with a serious grain of salt.
Right, okay, that's interesting.
It's not necessarily bogus, totally bogus data. There's probably some truth in there, but they have a separate agenda.
Yeah. Of course, the whole idea is to put people in fear rather than love.
Mm-hmm.
That's the idea. Steve, you have a question there that I think was Snowflake looking to have a question answered there.
Yeah, I must have missed Noe's question. So I've asked her, will she just stick it back in there again? But I do have a comment there from John. John just says, and I'd be interested in Pattie's take on this. He said, Gaia did not put us here on Earth. That is ancient Greek mythology. The Greeks even thought it as mythology.
Gaia put us here. We are Gaia's kids. All of us.
Right. Okay. So is this the whole archaeo-Darwinian theory, or are you saying that we were definitely seeded by Gaia?
Gaia raised the dinosaurs. They're actually a reptiloid race who grew up with us and the dinosaurs, who are in league with the Dracos too. And the Dracos have interbred with them. That's where the Dracos are claiming this is much different as ours, and that's not true.
Okay. Well, I've heard about the raptors.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially down in the Falklands. There's that underground base down there with raptors involved.
Yeah.
So
they're with I call them the flea stacks, but that I can never remember the name. But I grew up as a kid watching Land of the Lost, so I call them the flea stacks because that's who they are.
Well, Captain Mark Richards talks about the raptors to Kerry Cassidy, and he has revealed a lot of information about them and what they're involved in.
The Cro-Magnon man, Neanderthal, and all that. The Dracos made 5 prototypes after they got us put, all our oversight taken away. Basically, the dragons were one of our oversight groups, and the Dracos convinced us to kill them off. But they existed in like 12 dimensions, so basically we just removed their ability to re-avatar here.
Okay.
They're not dead. They're just,
they're just physically not here.
Not here.
Yeah. Steve has that question that's come in.
But the Dracos made those 5, and they were bigger, stronger, too smart, and they couldn't control them, so they chased them all down and killed them.
Okay, that's interesting. Steve has that question now from that listener.
Yes. I actually thought I want to apologise, Pattie. I thought you seen this one in the chat, and I was convinced you answered it already, but maybe you didn't. But Snowflake was wondering. She wanted to know how many types of aliens and what are they? And what are they like?
There's about 40 that are dug in here long term. 40 different species.
And I'm guessing that
I don't know the names of all of them.
But they look like us, don't they?
I can give you some hints on one of them. There's one we call the troglodytes, or the trolls. The interesting thing about that group, when they interbred, they kidnapped human females, raped them. They introduced a unique thing which causes autism, because their genetic being in the mix causes the fusion done by the Anunnaki to come undone unevenly. And if you have 47 chromosomes instead of 46 or 48, an even number, you have autism.
Right. Well, that's
right. So does that mean that when people say that autism is caused by something in vaccinations, then that's not true?
No, it's genetic.
Well, yeah, we have. Fiona did say that when she was on the show that autism was genetic.
Yep.
Now we have about 15 minutes left, Pattie. So I want to focus on the positive things that are happening and coming down the line. What have you heard that's good news that's happening?
The Dracos are shit out of luck. That's why the battle moved down to the planet. They can't get anybody in through the sun gate. That's why they're pushing for CERN and all the light workers in with me with my eyes in there. Because I've got eyes in every bit of that equipment. They're mucking up inside the chamber, so they're never going to get a gate open. We're not going to let them.
And CERN has failed a couple of times as well. Simon Parker.
Oh, we crashed it, yes.
Yeah.
This morning, bad. I mean, they had cryogenic, because I got cameras on the outside, too. Spraying cryogenic going up into the sky.
Fantastic. And so is it a case that they are like a trapped rat or a dying rat, and that they're just trying everything? Because we're seeing blatantly more and more things right in our face, things that they're doing, the corruption and everything else that's going on. It just seems.
You got to understand the decrees that Obama's putting out. They took a child, basically removed its arms and legs and its prefrontal cortex and wired it into a computer. That's their cybernated system that is actually doing projections all the time, trying to get their agenda through, and that's the one that's making up those decrees that Obama's speaking in public to try and get their agenda. But you got to remember, in 2012, when we came into this time frame, the Looking Glass program went down, and just before it went down, their chance of success went from 24% down to 17%.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they won't get Looking Glass up again until maybe in the December time frame of 2016.
Okay. And
that doesn't work, and now the ETs can get that to work.
Okay, so things are going pretty well on their side, because although it can be very easy to turn around and see the world going the way it is with all the negativity, what you're saying is that's actually just them dying.
No, this is news that's come down recently. Obama knows he can't go in the dumps now. He understands. One of the white hats in the Pentagon blew up the one in Virginia. That's why he immediately went and transferred everything out to Denver. We've taken out, I think, 4 of the dumbs already, and he realizes any out in the West, if he goes in there, Gaia's going to bury him.
Okay.
So he came up with the idea of releasing a neurotoxin here and going over to England. And the council has already told him, you do that, and we're going to hit you with a tsunami as your plane comes down.
Wow. Okay.
So it's a game of cutting off every avenue of scheme he comes up with.
Okay, and what about the likes of, the other countries and the governments? I mean, everybody's en masse, protesting and waking up en masse globally. And saying...
here's the thing. Your Muslims, they are an assault force, basically. But you got to understand, we have more than 40 cities on Mars, and they want more land here.
Okay.
They've signed an agreement. We've got 40 cities where we've got people living since the 1940s that they kidnapped and took out to Mars, and they told them that Earth is no longer habitable, that we had a World War III here, and they're basically slave labor, and they're building parts for other ET spacecraft that the G20 is collecting on.
Which is what Corey Good was talking about, and David Wilcox, they mentioned this as well.
And the Blue Avians had to go out and rescue a group of inspectors who went out there to look into this. Yeah. They ended up getting locked up, and the Blue Avians just went out there, snatched them out of the cell, and brought them back to the moon.
Right, okay. But what's going to happen? What's happening now on Earth with the governments and all the kind of people waking up? There's a lot of people waking up, and a lot of people beginning to see what's happening on the planet, what's happening in their own country.
That's why they push crisis after crisis after crisis to keep your brain occupied. But most of us who are woken up are no longer even watching TV at all.
No, we'll just switch off the TV. That's the whole control mechanism as well. Don't be watching the TV. Don't be listening to what they're saying, because it's all lies anyway. What can you advise people to do to actually...
See, let me put this in a nutshell. The whole thing with possible war between China and the United States is bogus. Part of the 9/11 issue was because 9/12, the World Court was going to make the USA give the gold back to China. Only there is no gold. It's tungsten with a skim coat of fool's gold. China knows this. So Obama's been giving real estate in the United States away to China. Only China said they're not going to occupy it unless Obama gets the guns taken away. That's why all your false flags and your Sandy Hooks and all of that is to get the guns taken away.
So China, because we know Obama wants to take the guns off the people. We know that. He keeps saying that. Every time there's a false flag, the first thing he says is, oh, it's because people have guns. And you're saying China won't go in unless the guns are taken off the people.
Right.
So
because they know we'll kill them. The Americans aren't going to give up their property just because Obama said so.
Yeah.
They've passed all these laws that said, they can come and Obama and the government can come and take everything we have and put us in work camps and all. I mean, there's all kinds of crazy stuff that he's passed, but he's not our president. He's a CEO of a corporation. Yeah. I put all that out there too.
Well, it's all corporation. It's all corporation. Even over here in the Irish government is a provisional government. It's a corporation.
Well, actually, your corporation has been rendered null and void as of August 8th, 2013.
Why is that? Tell us why.
Clan Mother declared it, period, when she kicked her out of the Buckingham Palace.
Right. So how does that affect Ireland? Where would that come? How does that affect Ireland? Because we're apparently supposed to be a republic, but we do know that we're still ruled by UK.
You've got the G20 group sitting in London, pretending that everything is still okay. But understand, the World Court has warrants for murder for these folks. That's why she came running to America, and that's why you won't see her running around over there, because they'll arrest her. Either none of the Bushes, Obama, the Queen, or any of her entourage will go over to the UK because they'll be put in prison. And they know it.
And who's going to arrest them?
The World Court. There are standing bench warrants. They've not only been tried, they've been convicted, and they went fled from justice before they were sentenced. I wonder what the likes of Tony Blair and Netanyahu and people like that who are war criminals, basically, because of what they did. Netanyahu hasn't been tried yet. Okay. He's next on the list because he's another cold-blooded killer. Neither has Tony Blair. And what about the likes of Rumsfeld and all these people over there that were responsible for 9/11? They're getting their. It's all out in the public now, but nobody's doing anything about it because you got to understand, the judicial system here is directly under Obama. It's not under the people. Yeah. Obama's not going to tell them to do anything about it. Yeah. Well, we have a corrupt judicial system over here. The way they're working it, out of the 300 plus million people here, we've got 176 million registered to vote. So they have a majority. That's the only thing that's keeping the corporation running here. That's what they're standing on right now. If people just unregistered, withdraw their registration to vote, that's it. Their whole system crashes. And that's all. Or if we can get the whole knowledge out to the people, the general public, that corporations and commerce have been rendered null and void by the clan mother, who has authority even over the Dracos. Again, that's it. Do you have documentation to say this? So if this went to the Irish government saying that yes, and the World Court has it too, and has already acknowledged it because they backed up kicking her out of the Buckingham Palace. Okay, so what we need to do is get that paperwork from the World Court and send it to our Irish government and say that they've been rendered null and void, and that all laws that you brought out are just null and void, and they don't apply to anybody. Which is interesting, because if you recognize, Canada already said they're not even going to acknowledge the Queen. They're already off on their own track because they already read the writing on the wall. Right, well that's interesting. We'll have to speak to Karen to see if we can get that paperwork from the World Court and then send it to the Irish government, and maybe we'll have to have a talk with a few people about that and render the Irish government null and void, because they're as useful as an ashtray and a motorbike at the moment. I think we can both agree on that, Steve. Yeah, absolutely. Do you have Alfred Lamont Weber has been working with this stuff too. Okay. All about it. Yeah, we know Alfred. Alfred has been on the show, all right. Do you have a couple of questions before we start winding things up?
I do have a couple of questions that I've actually posted them over there in the Skype to Pattie, because I wasn't sure if we'd actually get to ask them. But now that we have a couple of minutes, we'll go for it. Pattie, Karen was wondering, this is Karen, she's in Oregon over there in the US of A. Are you familiar with the HAARPs? HATHORS. HAARPs, no. No? Okay, more information needed on that one, Karen. Karen's also wondering, will we have a World War III? No. No? They've already told them no. And like I said, there's no fissionables in anybody's warheads anymore. The solid 50 ray grays removed it all. Excellent. They snuck that attack on China by putting a .5 KT nuclear weapon warhead on a rod from God. And that's I think what fell through the sky into Brazil was that satellite. I think that pissed them off. I think they shot that Rods from God satellite right out of the sky. Okay. Joan is wondering, Pattie, do you have any thoughts on Skull and Bones, and what relevance does it have to the bigger picture? That's the training program for eventually, bringing you into the Dracos. Okay. System. And matter of fact, that
the Sun Transit Network I stole from them at Harvard.
Okay. They might be looking for that back.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
Well, we have one more question, and then we just we wind things up because we have a couple of things to talk about anyway.
Okay, we'll go with this one from John. A question to Patty: who is Cobra, as in the Cobra Resistance?
Never heard of him.
Okay.
You never heard of Cobra?
No.
Well, okay. Cobra is if you go off to a website called 2012 Portal. Cobra talks about he's an insider that has inside information. David and Curry know about him, and they have their own opinion of Cobra. And so he posts up blogs every now and again, letting people know what's going on from a global point of view. And he talks about the Crimea group and the Stranglet bombs which they're finding and they're trying to disable. Does that ring a bell to you?
No, but I know about we did this back in the Cold War. Every city in the United States and every city in Russia has a nuke tucked away in it.
Yeah. That's probably what he's talking about the Strangler bombs, and they have to be taken out and closed down.
That's more than likely what that's about. But yeah, I know about that. We did that way back during the Cold War.
Oh, right, because he's saying it's happening now, rather than they're still doing it.
Yeah, I mean, the little grays hit all the ones they could see.
Yeah.
Get readings on. All the ones in missiles and silos and the stuff we had in space. That's what I mean. They snuck up and added that to that nuclear warhead to the rods of God that they hit China with.
That's, and
they missed.
Yeah.
They didn't hit what they intended to hit in China. I don't know if you know about this, but that pool of water in the where they had the Olympics.
Yeah.
There's an actual space gun in under the water there. That's what they were intended to hit. They missed it by half a mile.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting. I'll tell you, Patty, we're going to have to do a part 2 because the information has just been mind-blowing for myself and Steve and probably for our listeners as well. And, you know, it's just incredible information, and I know you have a hell of a lot more to talk about, but we've reached that time of the night. But it's been fantastic information, and we'll definitely do a part 2 with you. I'm going to pass you over to Steve. Steve's going to get all your details where people can find you and look up and see these photos that you have and all the bits and pieces. Steve?
Yep.
Yeah, Patty, I want to echo what Alan said. It's great information, but it is just information. At the end of the day, you're putting it out there. You're coming on. You're giving us your time. You're putting the information out there. We're not telling people this is what you should believe. We're just putting it out there. Let them use their own discernment. But if people want to find out more information about what you've been speaking about tonight on the program, do you have a website or Facebook or YouTube channel where people can get that information?
I'm putting it up right now.
Brilliant stuff. She's gonna.
Okay, well I'll just get it off the Skype.
Yeah. Now there's a lot of information that we talked with Patty there, and things going on. People need to do their own research and check it out themselves. I think.
Well, I mean, I come up with a lot. I mean, I've got screen captures of stuff that nobody can get to.
Well, that's it. Pop over to Paddy's Facebook page, I think, and have a look. Okay, Paddy, thanks for coming on. We're going to go off to a piece of music, and we'll be back after this.
This is Open Your Mind Radio on OYMradio.com, UnitedWeStrike.com, and PeoplesInternetRadio.com.
And we're back. That was sowing the seeds of love. That's what we're trying to do here at OYM Radio. We want to sow the seeds of love because that's what it's all about. And that was something Miles Johnson said it to me a long time ago, that it's all about love. And
it is indeed. And opening your mind and, you know, being able to entertain a thought without accepting it. That's what Aristotle said. And, you know, if somebody's talking about a subject like what Patty was talking about, and your initial reaction is to close down and to attack it, then well done, you've got a closed mind, and, you know, you're not entertaining it. I'm not saying you have to believe it, I'm just saying you entertain it. And if the first thing you do is attack it, that means you have a closed mind. Sorry to hear that. But, Steve, how's your week?
I'm glad you asked. No, honestly, there's not really too much happening in my week at all. I've actually felt, you know, the way we were talking about the Planet X and the wave and all this sort of stuff, and then we said, oh, nothing happened, and you know, well, and we spoke last week about being positive and having a positive outlook and just positive thinking. Well, I've actually I was kind of always like that anyway. I would always try to be positive, but during the week I made a special effort.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, as you know, you know, I've been busy in work.
Yeah.
And you know, I finish when I finish basically. But I've been doing a lot of kind of late evenings, and it's been taking its toll. I've been tired. But even going into work the next day, you know, I'm still tired when I'm getting up. But I've been using positive thinking, and I'm going to bed at night. And I've done this 3 nights in a row last week, just, you know, kind of as a test, just to see if it would work. And when I was going to bed, I just said to myself, no, I didn't just say it, I believed it, that I was going to have a good sleep. It was going to be very restful, and I was going to wake up feeling refreshed in the morning. And just kind of to add a little bit of a spice to it, I said, I'm going to wake up before my alarm clock.
I thought you were going to say something else when you said add a bit of spice to it.
Maybe spice was the wrong choice of word. Yes, it was the wrong choice of word. But no, I just said, you know, just to add, maybe to add a little bit of interest to it, I said, I'm going to wake up refreshed, and I'm going to wake up before my alarm goes off. And that's it. That was the kind of the key, before my alarm.
Right.
Yeah. I've since found out that when you say stuff like that, you're kind of programming your brain. You should give your brain a time. Because I generally don't get up till about 6:30. I think it was Wednesday morning, 5:20, wide awake, wide-eyed, bushy-tailed, ready to go. So I just said, you know, I'll just get up. I didn't go back to sleep. I could have went back to sleep, but I said, no, that'll just ruin it. So I got up. And needless to say, there was a knock-on effect. I was kind of tired late that day. But I'd done it two other times as well, and I said to myself, power of positive thinking, I'm going to have a good night's sleep. Because, you know, sometimes when I go to bed, I have trouble getting off to sleep.
Yeah, okay. You're really going to walk into it, aren't you?
Yeah. Anyway.
Is your wife listening?
I just couldn't.
You have to choose your choice of words carefully.
I couldn't think about it now to say, but I couldn't. I had a bit of problem getting off to sleep. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I done it again two other nights in succession. I said I'm gonna have a good night's sleep. I'm gonna wake in the morning feeling refreshed. I'm gonna wake up just before my alarm goes off. And again, I didn't just say the words. I believed it. And those 2 nights, I had a great sleep. Again, I woke up the next morning before the alarm. The alarm goes off usually about 6:30. The next morning, I think it was about 6:15 that I actually woke up. And, you know, it was nice and refreshed. And that was just based on what we spoke about last week about the power of positive thinking. And it definitely does work. Now, I don't know, was there a part of this upgrade? Maybe I got a bit of it. Did I kind of get a little bit of an upgrade? I don't know. But certainly during the week, I have been feeling more positive. And that's just genuine. I'm not making this up. I have been feeling more positive, and whereby, well, we're kind of watching what's going on over here on a daily basis. Irish Water, the guards, the way they're going on, and, you know, all the stuff was up on Facebook, and time again, we're looking at it, and I do believe it drains people's energy. But I was able to look at a lot of what was going on in the country this week, both on Facebook and also on printed media. Because, well, when I say printed media, I seen it in an article in a newspaper that I just read it because I don't buy newspapers, but I seen this article and read it about this minister using the Gardaí as a taxi service. That's the members of the police over here.
That's right, yeah. And
getting away with it. And normally that sort of stuff would anger me, but, you know, it didn't anger me this week. I just felt, do you know what, it's just information, it's just getting put out there, and maybe the purpose of putting it out there is to kind of educate the public, but also to reduce their frequency, or whatever you want to say, but to keep them in a certain state of mind. But yeah, that's kind of it. I mean, I have been fairly positive this week. Even going into work the next day, I was kind of preparing myself, said it's going to be busy, but I'm going to get through it. I'm going to get to the end of the day. Everything that I need to get done, I'm going to get done. And I did. So I'm just saying, power of positive thinking. I've given it a go this week, and I'll be doing it again next week. I might even hope for a lotto win or something. You know, so if I'm not here next week, you'll know where I am.
I'll know. I'll be with you.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's it in a nutshell. How was your week?
Just a couple of things on the list. Last month, we had 74 billion called Black Monday written off the Chinese stock market. This month, which was basically world share prices suffered 500 million, apparently not billion, 500 million meltdown, and fresh fears over China's economy. So they're also forecasting another kind of loss on the markets this month as well in October. So something kind of watch out for as well. Now, I have down, it is my opinion that after the bail-ins in Greece and Cyprus, I feel that when they do the next European bail-in, it will be Europe-wide and then all the banks will close. This is my guess, and I could be, and I hope I'm wrong. Now, I did see an article there the other day saying that they're going to limit the amount of savings you have in the credit union, so they're going to force you to put your money in the banks. I wonder why over here. I wonder why. Is it because they can do the bail-in? They limit your money in the credit union?
That won't affect you and me.
No, because we've no money in there. And the other thing is, I was listening to Simon Parkes during the week, and he said that we must not use violence as this is what they want. He said in the States, there are more police officers going sick after peaceful protests than violent protests. Right?
Yeah.
Now, the water meter people, the protesters say, peaceful protest, peaceful, right? This is the kind of psychology, and this is what's going on in America, apparently. He said, on a psychic level, they are affected, that this is the police, on a psychic level, they are affected by dragging women and children from a peaceful protest than going after someone with a baton who throws a brick at them. Remember, the Gardaí are trained for conflict, not peaceful protests. This is why they try and antagonize people to get them to react. And if we do not get violent, that will play right into, if we do get violent, that will play right into their hands and the government. And Gandhi did it without violence, so it can be done. So basically, the Gardaí over here, when they're pulling protesters or women and children and stuff like that, that's psychologically and psychically affecting them more because they're trained for conflict. So that's why there's no point getting into an argument with a guard because they're trained for that. But if it's kind of, you do it peaceful, then, what are you going to do? So, and obviously that's affecting a lot of the police officers in America. There's no reason why it can't be affecting the police officers over here. I'd love to know how many police officers are affected by the protests and also by the technology they're using, Tetra. And I keep saying all the time to the groups out there, start telling the Gardaí that the technology they have, it's killing them. Because the police force in the UK are coming down with tumours and cancers and everything else. And the government over here in the GRA, which is the Garda Representative Association, are ignoring the fact that Tetra is dangerous. And we keep saying to people, if you're on a protest, say it to the Gardaí while you're there. That technology is killing you, and you don't realise it. And they might not live to get their pension, and they might not live to see their kids grow old, depending on their metabolism, how the Tetra system works.
No, I was just thinking of something there earlier on today. When we speak about gun control, the way they're trying to get all the guns off the citizens in the US of A, and they want them to voluntarily hand them over. But did you see? I don't think it's the citizens who are violent. I think if they do have weapons, it's most likely going to be to defend themselves from the police, if truth be told. But that's why they're using all this stuff like the fear porn, if you want to call it that, of the lone gunman going in and shooting up a school full of kids and that sort of stuff. It's to get the public into the mindset that they will willingly hand over the guns because, I've nothing to hide, so I'll hand over my guns. But did you see that thing on the internet recently? I don't know the full details of it, but it was a gentleman in a wheelchair. And
he got shot, didn't he?
He was alleged to have had a gun and shot himself. Now, seemingly the chap was in a wheelchair because he was injured. Well, and he was shot in the back previously. I don't know when, but he ended up in the wheelchair. And it was supposed that he had shot himself, and then he was out on the street in his wheelchair. So the police surrounded him, told him to put his hands up and throw out his gun. One guy shot him, and I think that was when some other police officer allegedly was heard to have shouted out, drop your gun, and then they opened a volley of shots and they killed the man anyway. And just the way things work, it's kind of funny because seemingly that chap, or was it him? No, sorry, it wasn't him. But well, that's just a situation. Yeah, sorry, I'm getting confused. That there was another situation where someone in America did do a shooting very recently, which I haven't really heard too much about, to be completely honest. But he was said to have had connections with the IRA, or had been a fan or a supporter of the IRA here in Ireland. Now, again, depending on what you hear and where you hear from, they're saying that because Sinn Féin, who is also known as the mouthpiece for the IRA, that's what they used to be known as, they're gaining popularity over here, and the government don't want, obviously they you know, when it comes election time, they don't want Sinn Féin in power, so they want to hold on to their seats. So it's seemingly now that they are using that shooting as they're kind of making a political thing out of it, to say that, you know, this guy had ties with IRA/Sinn Féin. So they're trying to, you know, mar the Sinn Féin element now.
With that, I've seen something about that. Just very quickly before we finish, the UK and Saudi Arabia in secret deal over Human Rights Council. Apparently Saudi Arabia want to join the Human Rights Council. This is the country that executes and beheads 2 people a day. How the bloody hell can they be on the Human Rights Council? Anyway, next week, because of the last few weeks, there's a lot of things been going on, so we thought we'd get people to speak about all the things that are going on global level. Next week we have one more on the list, which is going to be Tolak. He's a representative of the Andromedan Council, apparently. So he tells us. So we're going to have Tolak on next week to talk to him about what he knows and what he's heard. And then after that, we're kind of be coming back down to earth and dealing with day-to-day issues. Because the last few weeks there's so many things going on. So for myself anyway, take it easy, have a good week, keep an open mind as usual, and research the information that you hear. If you have any information, take care. We'll catch you later. Bye bye. Okay, and from myself, Stephen George, it's been a great show, good information, and again, use your own discernment. Just very, very quickly before we head off into the ether. If you're checking us out live, or you're checking us out on the podcast as well, just drop us an email, info@oymradio.com, and just let us know where in the world you are. We're just kind of interested to see. We have a little map here. We want to put some dots on it, just to see, you know, how global our audience actually is. So if you could do that, that'll be much appreciated. info@oymradio.com. Thanks a million. Okay, we'll do it all again next week. If you're listening on the PIR stream, stay tuned for Vin, and we'll catch you later. Bye-bye.